Well, guys, we're going to dip into the world of sport now. It is F1 season back this Sunday with the first Grand Prix of the season, the Bahrain Grand Prix. Obviously, people were delighted to have. I've never seen so many people watching and discussing the testing beforehand, but it's kind of a testament to how big Formula One has gotten, largely due to Drive to Survive, and obviously Max Verstappen versus Lewis Hamilton, a classic season as well. And to the point that even now you have Sky Sports launching a new F1 Ultra HD channel that's free to subscribers who have the Sports and Ultra HD pack. So it's like everyone's pulling out all the stuff for F1. It is becoming huge, and the expansion continues and continues. And what better way to discuss it? Obviously, I'm a revived fan. I used to watch it back in the days with Damon Hill and Coulthard and Villeneuve and Hakkinen, and Schumacher was obviously my favorite back in the day. But I've got back into it because of Drive to Survive in recent years. What better way for me to watch it and for you to get a preview of what's going to happen than to listen to two non-drivers but enthusiastic fans? Look, we may not have a learner permit, but like you cannot fault our enthusiasm for Formula One. It's myself and Corporate Cian. You're very welcome to page 180. Cian, are you feeling the fever pitch? How is the throttle? I don't know.
Car words, yeah. The room, I don't know. I can't think of steering into this season. Yeah, something like
there
that.
You go, that
works. Funny, I actually had like I'm actually dumb, right? I didn't put two and two together because you were like, oh, do you want to do the Formula One podcast? Before the season starts, obviously, and I was like, oh, a bit early. You know what I mean? I didn't think it was starting for like another 2 months or something like that. And I checked I checked like next F1 race, and it was like March 5th. I was like, when that happened, I got really excited. Like before that, I was like, oh yeah, it's not for ages. When I saw that it's like literally this week, oh, I cannot fucking wait. And that means MotoGP is the following week as well. So I'm buzzing now. Yeah, I'm in a great mood.
Good. I love it. I love our Formula One chats, and even when we used to do Ask Low Blows together, like you'd always get.
We were there for half an hour.
And you get people, but you get people who like write in asking us questions. So obviously, like there is like a subsection of 2-3 weirdos out there who like hearing us talk about it, hearing our non-driving thoughts about steering and throttle. I keep going back to throttle.
Gearing into this topic.
But like Drive to Survive is obviously a huge part of the Formula One experience now, and it's sparked the revival, particularly in the United States, which is a huge factor this season. It's something that you're actually not into, which I find really interesting. Talk to me about that. Why is it that you don't like Drive to Survive? And you're, for the record, you're one of the biggest Formula One fans I know, but Drive to Survive just doesn't do it for you. Explain.
I actually don't dislike Drive to Survive. I just don't watch it. I think it's great for the sport. No, well, like what you're saying, basically, there are Formula One fans who don't like it. I did see this hilarious clip once of like real life versus Drive to Survive, and it was like I think it was like Charles Leclerc or something like that crashed, and he like crashed into the wall, and they're like, "Are you all right?" And he's like, "Yeah." But then in the Drive to Survive, it was like, "Are you all right?" And then it was silence, music, tension, and then. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they dramatize it, but I think it's been great for the sport. The reason I don't watch it, it's not like I don't dislike it. I just don't feel the need to watch it because I'm like, there's just so many things to watch, and I'm like, I'm already invested. I already know who everyone is. I'm already looking forward to the season. Like, and I know what happens. Like, I know what the results were. Like, I watched the competition.
Yeah, that's fair.
So. Yeah, for me, like, I don't know. I already have my opinions on people. Like, I might hate somebody because of their name or like somebody because they drive a certain colored car or whatever. And that's enough for me. I'm invested. And then the more you watch it, the more you get invested anyway. So for me, it's more so a case of like, I don't see the point in me watching it personally, but I like the show kind of for what it is for those that do watch it, kind of way.
Okay. Partially for the purpose of this conversation, I inhaled the new series, and plus I'm addicted to it anyway. I love the new series, and there's stuff that again you just can't get it. Like for example, you have Toto Wolff going absolutely psycho in like an owners meeting. You have him going, I guess none of you care about safety, and I guess you all want to see all the drivers die. We're all like, whoa, what the fuck? Because he's really under pressure because of how shit Mercedes were last year. Or you get like a Red Bull scandal where like all the owners are going, yeah, Red Bull definitely overspent. And then you get Christian Horner, who like I love him. I hate him, but I love him. You know what I mean? He's great for the sport, but he's so smug and he's just a great heel, especially when Red Bull are doing well. And he's like, you know what? You get all these people that they're jealous when things are going well. And then, like, for the entire episode, he's like walking up to Toto Wolff and the Ferrari owner chatting. And he's like, oh, you guys making up lies again, I suppose. And then, like, halfway through the episode, it's like, so yeah, turns out we actually did overspend. It is brilliant. I love that. I thought it was an excellent series. But look, I also get your point as well. You know what happens when again something like the end of the series, the last episode is like, who is gonna finish 5th in the world championship? Like, yeah, wasn't it like that? Spot. Wasn't it? Yeah, who's gonna finish the 4th best team in the constructors? It's just like, no, it's not really working. But like, so this new season, a lot of different subplots, feels like a bit of a transition phase, even though maybe not with the actual championship, but we'll discuss that kind of separately. Feels like there's a lot happening within the sport, though. A lot of new rookies coming in, and like kind of even like within the teams themselves. What is it that you're most looking forward to about this new season? What do you feel is the storyline that's hooking you in?
Aston Martin. Since Aston Martin started, I've been like, that's my team, because obviously they came from Racing Point. Racing Point were my team, and the lineage goes all the way back to fucking Jordan and all that. You know what I mean? Which is like obviously like an Irish team and all. So I'm like, right, I just always felt connected with this team, right? But now they have Alonso in there as well. Like, that is class. Like, I love Alonso. I'm one of Lance Stroll's 4 fans. I like it's just my team, and I don't really pay too much attention to like testing and, you know, before anything that really happens before the race, because, you know, well, maybe qualifying, but like, you know, the practices and things like that, I don't really read too much into it. But the only thing I did see that popped up on my Twitter was Alonso 2nd. I don't know if that meant anything. Might meant nothing, but I'm like, who knows? If Aston Martin, what I'm really looking forward to is, right, the end of the season can fizzle out, and it fizzled out last year. I didn't watch the last few races, but the start of the season is just so unpredictable, because like, I remember, was it last year? It was last year. I keep thinking this is 2 years ago. Last year when remember when Lewis Hamilton qualified he got knocked out in Q1 on pace for the first time in like since 2009 or something like that. And everyone was like, yeah, he just lost, and it was like, oh my god, I love that. I love the restructuring of things that you're not expecting. You know what I mean? It's so fucking exciting.
Remember like, Magnussen last year?
Yeah, remember it was like was it like Bottas went to Alfa Romeo, and then like fucking it was just Bottas finished ahead of Hamilton. That's what it was when he went to Alfa Romeo, and it was like, oh my god, what the fuck? And then Magnussen was involved, and there was just so much going on that I was like, this is actually like, and I again, like, I don't have any predictions going into Bahrain. Anything can happen. That for me is the exciting part. Like,
yeah, I agree. What I'm looking forward to this year is Civil War season. Okay. You've usually got, like, you know, is it Red Bull or Mercedes? Do you know what I mean? Red Bull are pulling away from the pack now. And even in testing, it looks like they've hit the ground running yet again. Perhaps a bit frustratingly, you know what I mean? And again, like, it can get boring. Like, just as it was nice to see Mercedes stranglehold broken a couple of years ago and Verstappen won the championship on the last race, you know, it looks like Red Bull are kind of taking over in that sense. Okay. But like, where you used to have this harmonious Red Bull team that looked perfect for so much of last season, the clip that we played coming into this was Max Verstappen refusing to give up his spot for Sergio Perez for no reason whatsoever. It was just spiteful. And then Perez being like, I guess it shows what kind of person he is. You know, I don't think we're going to see them go to war like Alonso and Hamilton way back in like McLaren. But like, I think there's going to be, like, again, that fractured something. And they put on a brave face afterwards and kind of smiled for the cameras and everything. They're like, look, these things happen. But I think there's going to be that there. But that's not all. It's happening within every team. Ferrari, Carlos Sainz was the better driver for Ferrari for the back half of the season. The only reason Leclerc got a lot of the calls was because Leclerc had won races at the start of the season, was seen as the better championship contender. But Carlos Sainz didn't join Ferrari to be the second driver. They've also got a new team principal with Fred Vasseur coming in from Alfa Romeo. Then you've got Mercedes, you've got Hamilton and Russell. You've got like the change in the guard there. I don't know. Hamilton has never been the type of guy. He knows how to say the right things in interviews. He knows how to give a good impression and put on the Disney face is a phrase I've heard to kind of describe him. but he doesn't seem like the type of guy who's going to be, I am going to allow George Russell to be the guy, and now I'm going to be the Bottas of the team. That doesn't seem to wrinkle well. And like, again, like even with, if you think of like the people that he's in the same league as, the Michael Schumachers and so on, they never wanted to be second. It was not a thing. It was like, I'm Lewis fucking Hamilton. Even Fernando Alonso still has that same vibes. And that's kind of what sparked him going to Aston Martin. So I'm looking forward to the inter-team rivalries. I don't think there's going to be much of a race for the championship. I think that's going to be fairly predictable. But I think if you can get invested in those kind of rivalries between the teams and so on, then you've got something special. But also, I think a thing to get excited about is, and I know this is something that you pay a lot of attention to in particular, there's a lot of new faces coming in. So we have, and again, McLaren is another team that might have a bit of a rivalry because you have Lando Norris there has obviously been the alpha dog for a while. Daniel Ricciardo, by the way, another highlight of Drive to Survive being the emotional video package they put together for Daniel Ricciardo. And it's pretty much like emotional music. It's like Leave the Memories Alone, but it's him talking about his balls a lot. That's his personality. Like he's a bollocks, like, and that's why everyone loves him. But it was brilliant. But now he's obviously gone. He's a backup driver now, but like he's replaced by Oscar Piastri, and at McLaren, how are they gonna get along? Who's the number one driver? You'd assume Norris, but again, Piastri hasn't come in to be number two. You have Nick De Vries coming out in AlphaTauri. You've got Logan Sargent, the first US driver in a long time, coming in for Williams. You've got Nico Hülkenberg coming back, returning to join Haas. Who are you most excited about in terms of the rookies or the people like kind of coming back into the sport? Is there any in particular that you're going to get invested in?
So, a few answers. Again, this is why I have the drivers list in front of me. Hülkenberg, I was never, see, I think he was in the sport when I wasn't watching, so I never cared about Hülkenberg. He was always the person that replaced, people when they got COVID. So I just never really cared. And when I seen him back in Haas over Schumacher and all that, I was kind of like, I don't know, there's people I'd rather see in there, like Callum Ilott and people like that. I don't know. I just never really cared. But there are some exciting names coming in. Like Oscar Piastri is the big one for me. He should have been there last year. I watched him fucking dominate F2 and all that sort of stuff. He is unbelievable. I'm really, really curious to see how he gets on. Sometimes you'll see a prospect do really, really, really well, like, in F2 or whatever. And I mean, I think Latifi won F2. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't know. It could be the next big thing, or it could just be, whatever, another driver. But I'm really like McLaren. I was never really a big McLaren person. I always felt like it was a team that, I don't know, it was like Twitter's team, but I just never really felt connected to it. But this year with Piastri in there, and I'm not against Norris either. I think it's going to be a very fun team to watch. Logan Sargent, I'm very interested in. I do remember watching him in F3, and again, like, he's got a name that is just so American that it just makes me laugh that I was rooting for him from the start. So it's cool to see him in there. And Williams, I love Williams generally. I love Alex Albon as well, so I'd love to see Williams do well. I hate the way like a lot of my favorite teams are shite. Although here's the team that it interests me, and you mentioned Civil War. This is very Civil War-esque because they have a lot of history. Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon at Alpine. Yes. How French is that team, by the way? Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, and Renault. Like, it's literally like the most like, it's nothing, like, I'm fairly neutral on France as a country, but I do think it's cool that they've just got this one team that, like, if I was French, I'd be buzzing for this. Do you know what I mean? Like if there was an Irish equivalent to that, I'd be so excited. Do you know what I mean? I think that team I think that's possibly the underrated one of the bunch. Nick De Vries, I mean, he's somebody who people have been after for ages in Formula 1. I think he's the one that was in Formula E for the last 2 years after he won Formula 2. So I'm delighted to finally see him in there. I love AlphaTauri as well. They're another team. They're another cool team. You know what I mean? Like not shite, but not class either. They're just this like cool in the middle team that you don't notice, but they are deadly.
Wildcards. They're the absolute wildcards. They like, just come in and win the race. Like, do you remember Ocon won? Yeah.
Or no, Ocon was, I think that was Alpine, but you remember when Gasly won it?
Yes.
How bad is that? Gasly and Ocon were the two.
Yeah, there you go.
Like,
they're connected.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to that team.
There you go. Alpine, you've got the French Revolution. You also have the US Revolution. Obviously, we spoke there about Logan Sargent coming in, the US driver for Williams, and obviously they're looking to kind of satiate the market there. So again, I'll kind of temper my expectations. It's kind of similar to, with the greatest of respect, Zhao Guanyu, who, like, again, you're like, are you just there because, China's got a big market? Are you there on merit? You don't know. But again, like kind of, we'll see, and we'll give them a chance, and you never know. But the US has taken over. They're going to have 3 races this season. So you've got one in Miami, you've got the traditional US Grand Prix, and then you also have now the Las Vegas Grand Prix, which again, Drive to Survive is pushing that. Like that was like the big thing in the coming up next season, taking over Vegas. And to be honest, like having gone to Vegas there last year, I am really hyped to see like it take over the strip. That's going to look class. But what are your thoughts on the US expansion of the sport? Like, for example, here's kind of the differences that we're getting. The Vegas race is going to be, have you heard about the setup for the Vegas race?
No, none of this, no.
So it's on a Saturday night, okay, at 3 a.m. It's like a UFC event.
All right.
What are your thoughts kind of on the US expansion, and how's like little changes like that kind of sitting with you?
Doesn't bother me. Like for me, you know, I've always, like, I'd say about 85% of the races I've watched in Formula One, I've been busy during the day, so I just watched it at night. And also when you're watching it like in advance, or like late, like afterwards, you know, you can skip like red flags and things like that and delays, like you literally just skip past them. So to be honest, like not having to, or not watching it live and having to watch it the next day, that doesn't bother me. I'd probably be doing that in a lot of cases anyway. I think, yeah, I suppose I don't really see a reason why there shouldn't be more US races. It's kind of, America's kind of a funny one, because in Europe, you know what I mean, you look at every country, say there's a UK race, an Azerbaijan race, and well, there's 2 Italy races, I think. But you know, you look at every country and it's like there's one race for each country. But America is so fucking big that it's like you can't just have like one American race. But like, right, that's it. That's the America. Do you know what I mean? It's like 50 countries in one, so you kind of have to have, I think, a few if that's a market that you want to kind of explore a bit. I'm still not at a stage where I have strong opinions on tracks, really. Like maybe like some of them, but that was one thing I kind of noticed, the difference between me last year and me, like, say, the first year where I watched Formula One, is that I'm starting to notice different tracks, and I'm like, oh yeah, like the Azerbaijan one is the one I mentioned, Baku. I really love that track.
It's great.
And then there's some other ones that I'm a big fan of as well. But it's more just a case of like I'm still at that stage where I'm like just recognizing them. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really have any strong opinions. I'm kind of like, if they're good tracks, good races. I don't know, more. I'm very much in the camp that like the more races the merrier. I know some people think like, oh, I like to have a limit of like, I don't know what the number of races is, but like you know, they like to have a certain limit, no more than this amount of races, otherwise it's too much. I'm happy, you know. I mean, if you told me right next year we have a 52 race season, 52 weeks in a row, you know, I'd be like, Grant?
Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, I'll be the same. Yeah, I'll be the exact same. Do you know what you need to do if you don't already? And I was talking to someone in work about this, and they do the exact same as me, and it's added so much to my F1 experience. Get the F1 game, and the weekend of it, so like on the Saturday of the race, play like the race, you know what I mean, of it, because then you get to it and like you'll see a crash going and you're like, yeah, that corner, it's a bitch, right?
That's actually not a bad idea. I had the F1
brilliant.
game. I had the F1 game. I think I got it a few months ago. I was absolutely fucking brutal at it. So yeah, no, that's actually not a bad idea, to be fair.
It's brilliant, like, because you're just like, again, it enhances it, because you know what corners they're coming up against, and you're like, oh, how's he gonna do against that corner? Like, oh, there's the corner you can overtake on. Like, it really does give you that kind of.
I relate to Verstappen in that respect, because I also drive on that track.
But of course, yeah, throttle. Also, as well, a change coming in this season is we've got a record-breaking 23 races with 6 sprint races. So you've got Azerbaijan, Austria, Belgium, Qatar, Texas, and Brazil are all going to the sprint race format. Are you happy with this expansion? I know it's kind of it's a bit of the Formula One VAR discussion where traditionalists hate the idea of a sprint race. What are your own thoughts on it?
I remember being so excited when they announced sprint races, because I used to watch them in F2 and F3 and all, but I just never got around to watching them. I just feel like there's something about Formula One on a Saturday. It's just, I'm always busy. I don't know how to explain it. Like, that's why like I never get to watch qualifying either. I'm just always busy, so I'm always like, I kind of feel like I missed something there. It's kind of like it's funny because people have very like strong opinions either way. I'm kind of caught in the middle where it's like, I don't think it's a bad idea, but I prefer when they don't have a sprint race, because I always end up fucking missing it. I don't have time to watch it before the actual race, because the race is the next day. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a half race. It's a weird one. I think there's a lot of potential. It could be good. I think it's one of those things where there hasn't been enough of them yet to really say for sure if it's a good or a bad idea. We're kind of just gonna have to wait and see, I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar. It's last year there was one, I think, who was it? Was it Magnussen got pole outright on the Friday, and then he went into the sprint race. I think it was Magnussen. He went into the sprint race then, and he was like, 13th, and then it was like, cause he's going up like actually head to head with much better cars. So there's that side of it. I also do think it's exciting. Like again, it's a different type of race. It's like unless something goes horribly wrong, there's no pit stops, and if you're in the pits, you're fucked, and it could just ruin your entire weekend. So like I do like that aspect of it. There's been some exciting races. Like you're gonna get overtakes and stuff like that. You've got people, racing more aggressive than they would normally. So there's positives and negatives too. I don't hate it. But again, I kind of like, let's just pick a lane and commit. I do like having 3-day weekends where I care about it. Because don't get me wrong, I'll stick a practice on in the background, but I'm just watching a bit of it. I'm just going, oh yeah, no, of course that corner. Yeah. Corner 12. Oh, I know, right?
I've never watched a practice in my life. I'm not qualifying. I've watched a couple of times, so it can be good. I've never watched a practice.
I just stick it on the background. I've no interest in it, but I do watch a quali. I love a quali. Like having that on the Friday, then the sprint race on the Saturday, then the actual race on Sunday.
Yeah,
it is good, the full weekend experience. So look, there's merits to it, but again, like it does kind of take away the randomness of it, where you have someone who just has an amazing quali, they're out of it by Sunday, because again, like you just have first corner Verstappen is just like pew. And then like Ferrari, it's like pew, and it's just like okay.
I think that's you've actually, you know what, you've actually changed my mind on it. That has actually put me in a camp now. I am now against it just because of that.
Okay, fair. Oh well, look, there we go. We're getting hot takes literally fresh out of the oven here. Okay, so last kind of question is, do you think this is Verstappen's to lose, to make it 3 in a row, or do you have any other kind of wild predictions? And kind of just to note as well, if Max does win 3 in a row at 22, this is the club he's joining. Juan Manuel Fangio. Don't know who he is, if I'm being honest.
I was like, what?
He's one of the Juan Matas of the world to do something 3 times in a row. Juan Mata once wore odd socks to training 3 times in a row. It's a bit of a different thing, but like 3. Michael Schumacher, Sebastian Vettel, and Lewis Hamilton are the only people to ever win 3 championships in a row. Do you think it's Verstappen's to lose, or do you think there'll be anyone in the mix? We saw Mercedes improve towards the end of the season last year. Ferrari, under a new team boss, a lot of what cost Ferrari a lot of races last year was just Ferrari being fuck ups, like pulling people into the pit and then be like, "What you doing here?" You told me. You said fucks. That's what that means. So, and David, new boss, like, where you feel in terms of the drivers?
There's a reason why I never have and never will bet on motorsport. I think it is probably the most useless sport in the world to predict. Like football, I will have reasons for like saying certain things, or like MMA, I'll have very strong opinions on this is why X fighter will win. With motorsport, like I don't know. I until I see somebody challenge Verstappen, I've no reason to believe why Verstappen won't just like smack everyone around. For me, like I was happy he won last year in the sense that I'm glad he got a season without any controversy to say, look, this is my title, now shut your mouth, and that kind of way. And obviously the season before that was unbelievable. But for me, like I kind of take a stance on motorsport that's like with Formula 1 anyway, that's kind of very different to football, right? Like I want Shamrock Rovers to beat every team. I want them to ruin football. Just beat every single team, make it as boring as possible, and win every competition imaginable. Whereas with motorsport, it's like I'm rooting against, like I was like passionately rooting for Verstappen in 2021. Now I'm like, I hope it's anyone else. Do you know what I mean? Or not that like I want him to lose. I don't mind if he wins, but I want it to go to the end. You know what I mean? I want, like, even if it's like Russell or Hamilton, like I never would have cheered for Hamilton like last year or the year before. But if Hamilton like challenges Verstappen now and change, and you know what I mean, like brings it back. Never really, like, I loved Ferrari when I was a kid. I'm not a big Leclerc or Sainz fan, so I'm not really big into Ferrari nowadays. But if Leclerc challenged Verstappen, I'd be buzzing. You know what I mean? Like any Alonso, that'd be the dream. The one thing I don't like is the fact that I just don't think like Perez is on that level. I just like you were mentioning Civil War, and there are some teams here where I'm like, yeah, that sounds interesting. Hamilton, Russell, Gasly, Ocon, but I don't see that in Red Bull because I'm like, I just think Perez, first of all, he's not on the level of Verstappen, and also I just think he's too like nice or soft personality wise. I could be dead wrong. I don't know this fella. Do you know what I mean? But I just feel like he'll fall in line, and it's just going to be like Verstappen 1, Perez 2.
Yeah.
But if anyone challenged Verstappen, I'd be really excited by it. You know what I mean?
I've got the same one too for the championship, because again, yeah, on a race basis you can't, because that's why we love it. It's such a wild card sport and anything can happen at any stage, but you can on a longer playing field. You know what I mean? Like last year at the start, it looked like Ferrari were going to run away with it, and then by the end, like 5 races out, like it's literally Max is like, did I win this now, or do I have to get a point at the next? You know what I mean? It was boring by the end.
I was so shy. He literally like, oh, you won by the way. Oh, class. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, oh, that's nice. Yeah,
it's like a firework or anything. No, all right, cool.
Don't trouble yourself, Betty. You're all right. What I liked last year was just that heel turn that Max had, though. You know what I mean? And like Checo, again, I agree with you. The Checo is like that. He is that guy that, like, he probably is too nice, and it's why Red Bull just aren't going to allow Checo to kind of contend with Max anyway. So I think he knows a good thing when he has it. So I think it will be a 1-2 with those two. I think it's going to be an absolute battlefield from 3rd to 6th. I think that's going to be the thing to watch, and the inter-team kind of strife, and how will teams favorite, will drivers listen, will they start to get, because we haven't seen that in a while. Do you know what I mean? We haven't kind of got teams where they're like, you know, no, I'm not gonna follow team orders. You know, that happens. Like, you get that all the time. Again, Hamilton and Alonso, oh my God, one of the best seasons in Formula One, where they're just like, nah, we're going to race every race. And it's like, please move out of the way, Lewis. No, not going to move out of the way. Alonso, you need to move out. No, I believe I don't. I can do what I want. I have the will. Like, again, I think we're going to get a bit of that this season. So I can't wait, because, yeah, that's long overdue. But yeah, Max won, Checo 2, unfortunately. Max runs away with it. But yeah, there's lots to watch anyway, and lots to be excited about. And Corporate Cian, part of what I'm looking forward to is having conversations like this with you over the next
this has got me excited. I'm buzzing now. Like, this is actually dead.
Yeah, so am I. But like, now we're recording this on Monday, so now we've a whole week to wait.
I'm watching NASCAR and pretending to care about it after this. That's my plan, because I'm like, look, this is a racing fix.
Man. Get the game, man. Bahrain is in the game, so you can just be like, yeah, no, corner 4. Yeah, corner 4. It's a bitch. And just like start using like car words like truffle a lot around people. Corporate Cian, absolute pleasure to have you here on Page 180. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the season.
Thanks for having me.
I'm
still here.